Welcome to the Catholic Accent. I'm Jennifer Mealy. This episode is all about intentional disciples, the people of our diocese who are loving others with purpose, teaching the Word of God, and leading people into a deeper relationship with Christ. So this call to intentional discipleship is part of a national Eucharistic revival, but it all begins on a local level. We caught up with Bishop Kulick at Greensburg's first Eucharistic Revival event. It was called The Last Supper and the Gift of the Eucharist. It happened back in March, and it drew together more than 1,000 people of all ages for an unforgettable Eucharistic experience.
We began our Eucharistic Revival with a prayer experience in the chapel. And that's very important because we recognize that the Eucharist is the source and summit of our spiritual life.
I think it pulled you in to make it that much more real.
It was just wonderful, especially the focus on the Eucharist.
Monsignor Raymond Riffle kicked off our day of Eucharistic Revival. He talked primarily about the importance of understanding the gift of the Eucharist and how we see that gift of the Eucharist first and foremost being the gift that Christ has given to His church for the people.
I enjoyed learning more about the Eucharist because I didn't know that much, and now I feel really happy.
I really liked this. It was really good for my soul, and I learned more about Christ.
We then moved into what I referred to as the B&B, Bishop and Bread Room. But one of the things we wanted to do in that room was I was able to give a presentation on Jesus as the bread of life.
His talk about the Eucharist and the symbolism of the bread and was just amazing.
I just feel like this whole Eucharistic revival is hopefully going to energize us to get out and get people back to church.
People attending the Eucharistic Revival workshop were able to be immersed into a room which helped us to reflect on different images of the Eucharist throughout time. But of course, the highlight of the room and the presentation was people being able to look at a very large replication of Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper and a presentation made by Vatican art historian Liz Lev.
The Last Supper depiction was just amazing. I did think that
I had no idea.
Apostle was
we had a little bit of a history lesson, yes.
So
and just the way they were leaning away, pulling in things from the artist's viewpoint that I would not have known if someone had not have told me all of that, yeah.
So many things that I never realized about it before I realized today.
Yeah, and it was so nice in the detail. It's like, how much work would that take? I would absolutely never be able to do that.
Me too.
Monsignor Bagali was able to share his personal experience of being in the Holy Land, seeing the place where Jesus walked and where He taught.
It was just amazing, his experience, and we felt as though we were participating in this experience with him.
Father Chris Pujol was able to gather with people in the chapel, and there he discussed and also demonstrated the importance of the washing of the feet.
I really liked his washing of the feet. The piano playing and the singing was beautiful, along with his message. Plus Maddie got one foot washed.
Yes, and all the people here were just being so kind and putting all this effort into this amazing thing that helps other people.
There was something for everyone. It doesn't matter what age you were, and Maddie was captivated the whole time, and so were we.
Father Chris then reminded us how service calls us to make a commitment to do something. And that commitment was symbolized in a flower, and they placed their flower into the cross. And it reminds us of how the Eucharist is tied to the suffering and the passion of Christ on the cross, but how the flowers symbolize the new life of the resurrection after the suffering of the cross.